Last night in walk-off fashion, the Reds won their second straight game for the first time in 5.5 weeks. Tonight, they look to make it 3 in a row as they begin a 4-game series against Jose Reyes and the New York Mets. It's coming up next on Fox Sports Ohio. Well, it's a beautiful Monday night in downtown Cincinnati, and we welcome you to Great American Ballpark. The Reds continuing this 10-game homestand where they've won 2 of the first 3, and tonight begin a 4-game series hosting the New York Mets. Going into play, we take a look at our Honda standings in the National League Central Division. A 3-way tie atop the division lead. The Reds 1 game under 500 and only 3 back in the standings. And a pleasant good evening alongside Chris Welsh. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome as always to Reds baseball. The Reds are 1 over 500, Chris, since the All-Star break, but you certainly can't pin that 1 over 500 record on the pitching. It has been very, very good.
Yeah, the pitching has been so good, Tom, that the manager, Dusty Baker, will tell you that they've wasted a lot of real good pitching appearances by their starters and relievers. I mean, Johnny Cueto is lights out when he's on the mound. Aroldis Chapman's coming back. The back end of the bullpen has been very good. Just look at the numbers. The batting average against is way down. They're not even giving up a hit an inning. So they're a team that has thrown the ball very well, but they're looking for a little bit of offensive support to keep that pitching rolling.
Now, the Reds pitchers face a pretty tough opponent here tonight. This Mets team, they've been hitting the ball well.
Well, they really have. And, you know, really the only top half of this Mets lineup are the one that's doing the damage. But they have some bodacious numbers up and down the lineup through the first 5 or 6. But it really starts with Jose Reyes. Here's a guy that if you let him get on base, he's a guy that can just turn the game upside down on you just like that. And with a .353 average, he leads in major leagues. He leads it in runs. He's got 16 triples. I mean, he's hitting the ball all over the ballpark. A very tough guy to defend. And Carlos Beltran, for as long as he will be a New York Met, he's swinging the bat very, very well. The Reds catch the Mets at the wrong time because right now he is a Met. A week or so from now, he just may not be a Met.
When we come back, we'll talk about tonight's starting pitchers. Mike Leake against a knuckleballer, R.A. Dickey. That's right around the corner on Fox Sports Ohio.
Tough Slox his last time out. He pitched 6 innings, gave up only 2 hits. But Mike Leake is a guy that will keep you in the ball game. He throws strikes. He works fast. He really uses his defense behind him. And the Reds have been one of the best infield defenses around. So I expect him to do the same thing tonight. He's done in his previous starts, which is come right after the hitters. You have to do that against the Mets because the Mets are very patient at the plate. They'll take a lot of pitches. They will test you as a pitcher. But Mike Leake will be up to the task if he's able to get strike 1 in there.
All right, here we go. Reds gunning for 3 straight wins for the first time since the month of June. First pitch next.
For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. By your local Ford dealer. Ford, drive one. By the Regional Tourism Network. Book your trip at CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Whenever you're feeling good and hungry, it's Skyline time.
Pretty good crowd rolling in for this Monday night with the New York Mets in town to begin a 4-game series. We'll have night games tonight, tomorrow, Wednesday, and afternoon tilt on Thursday before the Giants come to town beginning on Friday night. Terry Collins, in his first year as manager of the Mets, has done a nice job. Jose Reyes leads off at short, Justin Turner at second, Carlos Beltran is in right, David Wright, the third baseman, Daniel Murphy at first, and Jason Bay in left. Josh Tolley, the catcher. Jason Pridey is in center field, and R.A. Dickey is on the mound. Starting at 4, the Reds is right-hander Mike Leake, gunning for his 9th win.
Well, he's 8-5 on the year. He is 16-9 in his 2-year career, Mike Leake is, with an earned run average right around 4.1. And he started most of his games this year. He's also been in the relief. And Mike Leake is going to be a guy that is going to concentrate very hard on the very top of this Mets lineup. These are the guys that set the table in maybe the best way of anybody in baseball. I'm talking about the first guy, especially in Jose Reyes. You keep him off the bases, and your job's a whole lot easier on the rest of the night.
Jose Reyes leads the major leagues with a .353 batting average. And he looks at ball one. This game is underway. He has 47 games this year, including yesterday, where he's had more than 1 hit in a game. Leads the National League in runs scored and base hits. He has done it all now that he is healthy again. And, of course, staying on the field has been a real tall order for this unbelievably talented Mets shortstop, a free agent at season's end. Grounded foul, 2 balls and a strike on Reyes.
Well, the thing that makes Jose Reyes so dangerous is that, number one, he's a switch hitter, and he's just as good from the right side, if not better, than he is from the left side. And he slashes the ball all over the ballpark. You have to pretty much play him straight up because he hits the ball down the left field line as much as he hits it right down the right field line.
Reyes just turned 28 years old a little over a month ago and is already starting his 8th major league season. Blake thought that was strike 3 and cannot believe it wasn't. It looked like Reyes thought that was strike 3.
I thought it was strike 3, if that matters.
Payoff pitch to Reyes. And that ball is pulled down the right field line. Foul, our home plate umpire tonight. And what can you tell us, Chris Welsh, about Scott Berry, the rest of the staff, and the rest of the crew, as Laz Diaz at first, Wally Bell at second, and the crew chief is John Hirschbeck down at third. Fouled off out of play again. So after not getting that call, that looked like strike 3. Reyes has fouled away the next 2 pitches. And now make it 3 in a row. Told you about the 3-way tie atop the National League Central Division, and 2 of the 3 teams are in action tonight. The Pirates are in Atlanta, although that one is in a rain delay, and in about an hour from now Houston will play in St. Louis. Fly ball center. Stubbs shading his eyes from the bright sunshine, and if you get Reyes to hit it in the air, you'll take your chances. Take a look at the Reds on defense. A number of changes tonight. It's presented by Ford. Lewis in left, Stubbs in center, Bruce in right. Cairo Giannis, his first start since being brought back from the minor leagues. Todd Frazier, his first major league start at first base. And a battery of Mike Leake and Ramon Hernandez. Nothing is wrong with Joey Votto. He was going to get a scheduled day off before this series ever began. And Paul Giannis let that routine bouncing ball play him rather than play it. And aboard with 1 out is Justin Turner.
I'm not sure how they will score this, but it was certainly a playable ball. Has a lot of topspin right there. You see the high hop, and Giannis is expecting it to come around shoulder height, but because of the spin, it spins up and goes higher on him. And the ball took an odd hop, and it goes in the left field. That will be marked a hit. Very generous scoring decision. Start the game off.
So now Carlos Beltran. You talk about another guy who is healthy, really healthy for the first time in well over 2 years. Knocked in a run yesterday in their loss at Florida, and has reached base safely in a career best 30 consecutive games going back to June the 16th. He leads the National League in doubles, 7th with 64 runs batted in. He leads the National League in extra base hits, 4th in walks, and the 8th best on base percentage. But of course, you're hearing his name almost hourly if you put yourself in a position where you have access to this kind of thing, that he will no longer be a New York Met perhaps as early as the end of this week.
And you got to figure it has to be somewhat distracting, certainly to Beltran, certainly to his manager Terry Collins, and his teammates. When will it all end? Especially when you're in a big media market like New York. I mean, the reporters just hone right in on that subject, and it is day after day where they harass the manager Terry Collins. What's the latest on the Beltran issue? They asked Beltran not about the hits that he had the night before, but about where he would like to go. Of course, he's got rights to be able to deny any trade anywhere, but he has said he wants to stay in the National League and he wants to play for a winner.
One and 2 the count, and a breaking ball is down and in. But really, you go all the way back to 2007, and that's when a series of knee injuries have really slowed down Beltran. He had surgery on both knees at the end of the 07 year, crashed into a wall in the old Shea Stadium in 08, hurt the left knee. Went on the disabled list in June of 09 through September with a bad right knee. And that's when they realized he had major problems in the winter of 2010. Had to go all the way out and have the microfracture surgery as he swings and misses, and that's out number 2 in the inning.
Nice looking pitch by Mike Leake right here. Throws a 2-2 changeup, and he sells it with such great arm action that it looks like a fastball to the hitter. He takes about 10 miles an hour off of it, and Beltran is way out ahead.
So 2 away in the inning. Turner at first base. He does have 6 steals and 8 attempts. And now the third baseman, David Wright. Another very, very disappointing year for David Wright. You may remember when they moved in that new ballpark, all of a sudden his power disappeared, has really never come back. He just came off the disabled list with a very serious back injury. 7 home runs, 24 runs batted in, but look at those numbers against the Reds in his career. Off the charts.
David Wright has always been an excellent high ball hitter. Loves the fastball, loves it from the waist up to about his letters. That time, Mike Leake was able to get that fastball in the inside corner.
Wright missing over 2 months. And you saw the numbers before the injury and since returning from the injury.
Well, there really ought to be no surprise why he has a hurt back. I mean, after all, he's been single-handedly carrying this ball club on his back for the last few years as one of the few healthy players of any substance that they've had. Always a guy who has a great reputation for playing through injury, playing when he's nicked up. You pencil him in the lineup in the number 3 or 4 spot any time. His numbers severely dropped off when they moved into that new big ballpark. There is no question about that.
Bounced back to have a nice year last year. You just saw those numbers. And it's scooped up by Cairo. That's a nice play by Miguel behind the bag to retire the side and hit a man left. Reds coming up. Score in the game, and let's take a look at Dusty Baker's starting lineup. Reds at 1 game under 500. They've won 2 in a row. Drew Stubbs in center, Miguel Cairo for the injured Scott Rowland at third, with Jay Bruce in right batting third with no Joey Votto in the lineup tonight. Brandon Phillips, Fred Lewis, Ramon Hernandez in middle third, and a ladder third of the rookie Todd Frazier, Paul Yanish, and Mike Leake. Reds have never faced R.A. Dickey. What a remarkable story he turned out to be for the Mets last year. So much so, in fact, they gave him a 2-year contract.
Well, he had a great year last year, R.A. Dickey did, and has really first very successful year in the major leagues. He's been around a number of different ball clubs. One of the few knuckleballers that the Reds will see this year. And he will throw that knuckleball about 80% of the time. Certain situations, the runner's on base looking for a ground ball, he'll try to sneak a little sinking fastball in there, but primarily you're going to see that knuckleball pitch after pitch.
Dickey quickly ahead of Drew Stubbs, a hero last night with a game-ending home run to the opposite field to beat Atlanta by a run and giving the Reds 2 out of 3 over the weekend and back-to-back wins for the first time since the middle of June when they swept the Dodgers. The Reds have not won 3 in a row at home since winning 5 straight back in mid-May when they swept the Cardinals and then beat the Cubs in back-to-back games. Fouled away, out of play, 1 ball and 2 strikes on Drew Stubbs. A lot of people, Chris, naturally around here hoping that the weekend, these last 2 days against Atlanta, especially that game last night where you held the lead, you gave it up late, you win it on the Stubbs home run, will finally get this team going in the same direction where they were at this point last year.
Well, you hope that, and you hope, especially with the dramatic walk-off victory, the 6th of the year for the Reds yesterday when Drew Stubbs hit the first pitch he saw in the 9th inning to win the ball game out of the ballpark to right field. You hope that gets you going. But you have to remember the old saying in baseball about momentum, and momentum is the next day's pitcher. So yeah, you still have to go out there and pitch. You have to hit. You have to be able to play some good defense. But the Reds should feel a little better about themselves than they have had in a long time. Heck, every time they look at the standings, you ought to be very thankful that they're still in the race, being 1 game under 500.
Strike 3 called on the inside corner, and Stubbs gone on strikes. Let's take a look at New York defensively, presented by Ford. Friday in center, flanked by Jason Day and Carlos Beltran. Beltran, since returning from injury, has moved into right. David Wright, Jose Reyes, Justin Turner, Daniel Murphy for the injured Ike Davis at first. Josh Tolle hanging aside.
Yeah, make that comment about the Reds being only 3 games back. The Mets have an identical record as the Cincinnati Reds, and they are 14.5 games behind the Philadelphia Phillies and 8.5 back in the wild card. So,
well, not only the American League East, but the National League East. No place for 500 in those divisions.
You're right about that.
I mean, heck, we saw Tampa Bay earlier, still another team, but you know, they're not playing as well right now as they were early in the year, but still above 500 and falling way back of Boston and the Yankees. Cairo retired, 2 up, 2 down here in the first inning. Two down, nobody on. Scoreless game in the first inning, and Jay Bruce looks at strike 1. Tonight, only the 2nd game all year long. Bruce is hit in the 3-hole, and he is the only player to bat in that spot in the batting order that's not named Votto. Jay Bruce had his baseball camp get started today up in the Mason area, and I ran into a fellow who had taken his son up there. Ran into him after it had wrapped up about the middle of the day today and said what an unbelievable job they are doing up at that camp. He said it was as organized and as well run as any camp he had ever taken his son to, and apparently that had been a number of camps. So that's good to hear.
I believe it's associated with the Reds Community Fund, if I'm not mistaken. And everything they do, they will do in an organized way. You can count on that.
No doubt. That ball ripped down the right field line. And Bruce on his way to second base, and that'll be a 2-out double.
It looked like R.A. Dickey tried to sneak a 3-2 fastball by Jay Bruce, and he was ready for it. And he'll throw more fastballs, Dickey will, than the normal knuckleball pitcher. And every once in a while he'll throw one. But this one comes in about 86 miles an hour and really catches the heart of the Bruce hot zone. So the Reds pick up a 2-out double with a chance to drive a run in right here.
Jay Bruce is safe at second base. In fact, he is safe and secure, Mr. Welsh.
With New York life.
All right, now Brandon Phillips with an excuse me swing. Played on a short hop by Daniel Murphy, and that will retire the side. So a 2-out double by Bruce. He's stranded right there. End of 1. No score. When you play, it's what division you play in. You started to touch on it a moment ago, Chris, to be in the National League Central.
Well, there's no reason to even think that if you're in the National League East, the 500 is going to get you anywhere close. But it will in the National League East, or National League Central. Some people say there's parity across the Central. Other people say it's just a bad year for the Central Division. But it is still up in the air and well within the reach of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, you know, really you can look at it a couple of different ways. As Daniel Murphy takes down low, 1 ball and 1 strike. Clearly the Central doesn't have the dominant team of Philadelphia. In fact, doesn't have a team that's playing anywhere close to the level of the Atlanta Braves right now. But having said that, if the Reds win tonight, they would be the only division in Major League Baseball. I take that back. The American League East could also lay claim to this, so they would be one of 2 divisions with 4 teams at 500 or better. That one shot into left center field off the bat of Murphy, and he has a leadoff double here in the New York second inning.
Pretty good swing that Daniel Murphy puts on this ball. He realizes that Mike's Leake is going to throw that changeup run down and away from him. Leake elevates it about waist high. Murphy just takes it to the left center gap. They've moved him all around defensively, Murphy, and the outfield. Now he's settled in at first base. And he's having a pretty good year.
Now Jason Bay digs in. He looks at ball 1 away. Well, you talk about a nightmarish season. That's the only way to describe 2011 for Jason Bay. Had that monster year a couple of years ago in Boston. Got the enormous free agent contract. And it has been a disaster for him and the Mets since coming aboard last year. Of course, the Reds saw a lot of Jason Bay when he was having very, very good years, if not sometimes great years. All those seasons, Chris, he spent with the Pirates.
Well, he's mashed the Reds. I mean, for some reason or another, he's been able to see the ball very well. It doesn't matter who is on the Reds pitching staff. He comes in here with a career batting average of over 330.
Back to the pitcher, and Murphy is out by 10 feet at third.
Well, that's very odd for the Mets to do that because they usually do not make very many outs on the base paths. In fact, they lead the major leagues in the fewest outs made on the base paths. But Dan Murphy just ran right into an out right there. Maybe he was thinking that that ball was going to get over the head of Mike Leake. He makes an early decision, but Leake's a good fielder. And we've seen many times, Tom, him make a nice play. Of course, you've got the reigning Gold Glove pitcher of the National League this year with Bronson Arroyo on the staff. And I've said many times it will not be long before Mike Leake is going to grab one of those for himself.
Josh Tolley looks at ball one low and in at 249, a home run and 23 runs batted in. No, Chris, I want to get back to that, division talk there for a minute. I mean, the way, oftentimes a division is looked at, from the macro standpoint, when you step back and say, well, the Central is a very mediocre division. And you say, well, the behemoths are over there in the National League East with Philadelphia and Atlanta. But if you have 4 teams in a division, and again, the Reds would have to win tonight to make this an accurate statement. If you have 4 teams in a 6-team division, 500 or better, and the Reds, of course, have been as many as, 8 games over 500 this year? All the teams pretty much have. If you're another club in the division, whether you're in first or whether you're in last, would you rather play the Pirates, the Cardinals, the Reds, the Brewers, the Cubs, the Astros 15 to 18 times? Or would you rather play the Phillies, Atlanta, but then play the Mets, the Nationals, or the Marlins 15 or 18 times?
Well, maybe the true test, Tom, in the way you evaluate those divisions is how did each of those divisions in baseball do in interleague play? And quite frankly, the National League Central got it handed to them when they played out in the American League. You have to remember that the Houston Astros have fewer wins than anybody in all of baseball. And the second lowest team in this division, the Chicago Cubs, have only 42 wins. Well, that's fewer wins than they have in the National League West, fewer than the lowest team in the National League East, fewer than the American League West, and tied for the American League Central. So the 2 worst teams in the National League Central are way worse than most everybody else. So maybe that's why the top 4 teams are close or above 500.
Two outs in the inning, 2 strikeouts on the night now for Lee. And here's Pridey. He takes ball 1 low and away. Philadelphia, by the way, lost earlier today to San Diego 5-4. That's pulled into right field, a base hit by Pridey. Advancing on to second is Bay, so the pitcher Dickey, who certainly is no easy out, will step up there with 2 aboard and 2 men out in inning number 2.
Kind of an odd pitch right here. Not that it was a fastball, but right before the pitch, Ramon Hernandez really didn't give Mike Leake a sign. He just kind of gave him the, come on, just going to throw that pitch in here. Maybe he wanted a fastball up around the letters, and Leake got it around the waist and gives up a base hit.
Dickey has 6 hits and 32 at bats this year with 1 run batted in.
We'll go back to that out that the Mets made on the base paths. That would be a 1-0 ball game right now had Daniel Murphy not run into an out from going from second to third. By the way, you asked me earlier about Scott Berry, the home plate umpire. The number on him, 62.57. Puts him right in the middle of the range of umpires as far as balls and strikes.
One and two. And for those of you that have not been with us all year long, 62.7 is the percentage of number of strikes, which he calls, correct?
Correct. Out of all the pitches he sees, he will call 62.57% of those strikes, which is right in the middle of the pack.
Inning over. 2 hits, 2 left, middle of the second, no score. Baseball writer Hal McCoy. Plus, check out Get Connected with Fox Sports Ohio Game Connect, the ultimate second screen experience. It's on foxsportsohio.com, presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO and safeauto.com. We were checking it out before the game, and it's very cool. You can follow the game pitch by pitch up to second stats, including both game stats, season stats. There's a live Twitter feed. You can interact with other fans. Biographies on all the players. You can send your questions directly up here to the broadcast booth when we have such games selected. Batter against pitcher, career numbers. Check it out. Game Connect at foxsportsohio.com. Chris, you had a look at it before the game tonight. It is really cool.
It really is. I mean, for the baseball fan that happens to have access to a computer while you're watching the game, you're going to get game stats you don't normally get. You'll be able to follow your Twitter people, the guys who you want to follow, even ones that may just be logging in and talking about the game. If you want to follow Jim Day, he's on there. Hal McCoy's articles will be on there. It's got a lot of stuff. It really, if you can keep up with it, you can really enhance your game experience. I mean, if I'm going to have to do that, I'm going to have to throw the gum out.
I hear you. Reds bat in the bottom half of the second inning. No score in the game. R.A. Dickey with a count of 2-2 on Fred Lewis. Lewis to be followed by Ramon Hernandez and then Todd Frazier. Story has been told many times before about Dickey while pitching at the University of Tennessee. A high draft pick. That one is fouled away. In fact, it agreed on a bonus of over $800,000 with the Texas Rangers, and then they put him through a team physical exam, and the test turned out that he has no ulnar collateral ligament in his right elbow. It's not there, and they're not sure whether he was not born with one or maybe tore the ligament as a very young man and it never regenerated. That is foul tipped, or was it? No, that is strike three swing to Fred Lewis. Well, it turns out that, you know, the Rangers had to put a dollar figure on that elbow ligament. He turned out to be a very durable pitcher at Tennessee.
Well, you know, back then when he was drafted out of the University of Tennessee, he was not a knuckleball pitcher. He was a regular, more conventional pitcher. Fastball, curveball, slider, that type of thing. So when you go through a physical and you realize that this guy's elbow doesn't hang right, it didn't look right in a picture that one of the trainers with the Texas Rangers saw. So when it came down to negotiation time, they said, hey, you know, we want to sign you, but we're not going to sign you with the kind of money that we originally thought, given the fact that you have this problem with your elbow. To which R.A. Dickey replied, well, I've never been to the doctor. This is news to me. I've never missed a start. It doesn't hurt. What are you talking about? And he actually got very emotional and said, you know what? I'll take the opportunity to sign for the money they offered him, $75,000, well under what they originally offered, $810,000. And I'll take the opportunity, and I want that opportunity to go play baseball. That's what he has done.
On the ground off the bat of Hernandez right at Daniel Murphy, and so far outside of the one fastball that Dickey tried to sneak by Jay Bruce. That knuckler is dancing early on here tonight and fooling the Reds batters. They have not seen a knuckleballer all year long.
Now you're going to see some real funky swings because a knuckleball, you know, is a pitch that has no spin on it at all. If it does spin, it rotates maybe a half of a rotation to a rotation and a half from the time that it leaves a pitcher's hand until the time it gets to the plate. But there's no real prediction as to which way it's going to break. About that, back-to-back fastballs against the newest Red, Todd Frazier.
Came back with a knuckleball and it missed inside. 2-1 to Frazier. Knocked in his first 3 major league runs on Saturday with a 3-run double.
You know, for R.A. Dickey, it wasn't always a knuckleball pitch. That was his main pitch. Only the last few years has he embraced it as something that he would use the majority of the time. He had parts of seasons with the Texas Rangers in 2001 and then again through 2003 and 2006. He was in Seattle in 2008. Pitched 35 ball games for the Minnesota Twins a couple of years ago, and then last year hit it big with the Mets.
And that will retire the side. He looks very good early on tonight. He's only allowed 1 base runner and has struck out 3. We move to the 3rd, no score.
without doing that. And I just feel like we haven't played our best baseball yet this year, and we've definitely got it in us to do it. And I think that you know, it could be something as small as that to kickstart a run, and hopefully we can make a push these last couple months to win the division again.
Our Geico direct quote from Drew Stubbs, a hero last night, and he watches his teammate Jay Bruce squeezes tightly the first pitch fly ball off the bat of Jose Reyes. So a couple of at-bats tonight for Reyes and a couple of fly ball outs. No runs, 3 hits for the Mets. No runs, 1 hit for the Reds. 1 out here in the third. Justin Turner singled into center field, his only time up. They are still in a rain delay at Turner Field down in Atlanta. Braves got in very late last night, and they open a 3-game series tonight against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Tim Hudson against James McDonald, the matchup in that one if they get started. I'd like to send out a big happy birthday greeting to a great Reds fan ever since he was a little boy and was old enough to learn how to turn on the radio. Leonard George from Norwood, Ohio. He's made his home there for a long, long time, and we know he's dialed into the game tonight, Chris. So Leonard George celebrated a birthday yesterday. A belated happy birthday, Mr. George. Hope it was a great one.
Certainly, Mr. George. Congratulations on your birthday win yesterday. Maybe the Reds will string another one for you tonight.
That'd be nice.
That's another bad hop right there. You know, I ought to mention that early today in the ball game, I mean, Doug Gallen and his grounds crew has done a great job getting this field in shape. They had 2 amateur baseball games played here today. They had a 16 and under team play a game at 10 o'clock this morning, and right after that they had an 18 and under game played. And according to the guys who work on the grounds crew, the grounds were, I mean, it was pretty torn up. And we saw 1 bad hop already get by Paul Janisch, and that was a very unusual hop for Brandon Phillips. Take another look at it right here. Whoa. Of course, they're bouncing more like amateur fields when they bounce like that than what the Reds are used to.
2-1 on Beltran. Well, certainly for Doug and many of the head groundskeepers and grounds crew all over the Midwest especially. I mean, you talk about an odd baseball season weather-wise. Here in Cincinnati, we had the rainiest April and May in the history of the city ever. So you had to deal with all of that. And now it's been hotter than blazes for the past 2 weeks. Now look at Brandon. That guy could play in a parking lot. That guy could play in a sandbox. And this is all he does every night. They take on the defending world champion Giants. And the first 20,000 fans get a Scott Rowland mesh jersey courtesy of Scott's. For tickets for the Reds and the Giants or the remainder of this series, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. Paul Giannis to lead things off, followed by Mike Leake, and then the leadoff man Drew Stubbs. R.A. Dickey is only allowed one base runner. That is a fair ball base hit.
Well, you get him any way you can, and some people would say he hit it like he threw it. A slow knuckleball coming to the plate. David Wright's going to let this ball maybe go foul, but it holds its head and goes right and hits the third base bag. So the Reds have a chance right here with the number 8 hitter and Paul Giannis reaching base. You got to figure it's a cinch for Mike Leake to try to lay down and get his 5th sacrifice of the year. Or maybe a hit and run.
It always begs a question. We know that it's hard to hit a knuckleball, especially in this day and age when you rarely ever see it. And let's face it, if the Reds aren't facing Dickey here in this series, they may not see a knuckleballer all year long.
You're right.
Is it hard to bunt it?
I would imagine it's very hard to bunt. I've never had to bunt one in a game, but I imagine it would be equally as hard to bunt as it would be to swing and hit. Although he got a first pitch fastball right there and he took it for a strike.
Well, nothing to it for Mike Leake.
Well, that was another fastball. I'm really amazed. Maybe in a situation like that, R.A. Dickey's thinking, you know what, I'm not going to mess around with it. They're going to give me an out right here. I will take the out.
I am very surprised to hear you say you never had to bunt a knuckleballer. There were a lot more of them back when you were playing than obviously there is now.
Well, I played with Charlie Huff, but of course by being a teammate I was saved the challenge of trying to put one down against.
Well, but the Negro boys were still around, right?
Yeah, I never faced Joe was in the league when I was around, and I never faced Joe.
Tom Candiotti was probably just coming to the major leagues about then, but he was of course over in the American League.
I can imagine it would be very difficult. I would not have been very successful. I have a hard time catching my son.
You were a good hitter.
Knuckleball, and he's only 15.
Yeah, but you were a good hitter. You'd have been able to do it.
I like your confidence.
Well, I'm not saying you'd have gotten any more than one at bat in a game. So there's a lot to be said for that. But if you got the 1 AB, you'd have been able to bunt him over. On the ground to Reyes, and he will throw out Stubbs, and that's a second out of the inning. You know I'm kidding.
Oh, I know that, but I used to tell my friends, you want to see me pitch? Get there early.
Giannis out there at second base with 2 away. Scoreless game, last of the third, and here's Miguel Cairo. And it's in the air straight away center field, and that is that in the Reds' third. They get an infield hit, bunt the runner over, who drops anchor right there.
and our military around the world. JTM Food Group. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. For a dealer near you, visit buyatoyota.com. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO.
Lovely night along the banks of the Ohio. Certainly a lot cooler than it's been the last number of days. Scoreless game. We begin the top of the 4th inning. David Wright, Daniel Murphy, Jason Bay, the scheduled trio. As it's fouled away, 1 ball and 1 strike to David Wright. Of course, the Reds have not faced the Mets the entire year, and here we are in the final week of July. The next time they get together, it will be very interesting to see what either team might be playing for, especially the Reds, only because of where they are in the standings. The Reds will play at Citi Field in New York the final 3 games of the 2011 regular season. The first time, and I can only remember, that I can ever remember, where the regular season this year will end on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday series rather than a weekend set. And we turn our attention now to our AT&T trivia question. How many catchers in Major League history have hit 40 or more home runs in 2 or more seasons? We'll give you a little while to think about that. Hopper to Phillips. He'll throw out Daniel Murphy, and quickly the first 2 Mets set down here in the 4th by Mike Leake.
Well, Mike Leake is a prolific ground ball pitcher, no question about that. He keeps nearly everything down around the knees. He sinks his fastball. He stays on top of his breaking ball. But the only 2 fly balls that he has had off the bat tonight with the Mets are the guy that you want, if you're a Reds fan, see him hit fly balls, and that's Jose Reyes.
On the count on Jason Bay, and he started 2, and did he go around? No, says Laz Diaz. Bay perhaps the biggest out of the game so far for Mike Leake. Back in the 2nd inning, Murphy led things off with a double into left center, and then Bay hit a comebacker back to Leake. He turned around and saw Murphy, broke for 3rd, and easily threw him out. Of course, later in that inning, the Mets would get another hit that, had it not been for the base running blunder, the Mets would have the lead in this game. And there's a walk to the 228 batting Jason Bay. So perhaps a mental hiccup for Mike Leake. A 2-out walk to Bay. And here's Tolley, who struck out his first time up. Fouled away, strike 1. Mets got very encouraging news a couple of days ago. Apparently their outstanding left-hander Johan Santana, who has not pitched this entire year, was shut down last year, will be heading out to begin a rehab assignment, which should take quite some time to get him back to the big leagues. There's a base hit into right field, and advancing first to 3rd is Bay. So after the 2-out walk to Jason Bay, he advances to 3rd on a base hit by Tolley, and here comes Pridey, who singled his first time up.
Tolley stays right on this changeup, and You see where the catcher was set up. He wanted it low and away. The ball ended up low and in, and he kind of rolled right into that pitch to Josh Toll. So it looked like it was going to be a nice, easy inning for Mike Leake now. Retired the first two on just about 5 pitches, ground balls, and now he's got first and third, and the first legitimate threat the Mets have had.
Ball 1 to Priddy.
Priddy hit a fastball right into right field on a pitch that was about waist high. There's a big opening there on the right side of the infield now. By the time Brandon Phillips settles in, you'll see right here with the first baseman holding him, you've got all this area right here. And just judging on the swing that we've seen Priddy take, it looks like he likes to slap it that way. Or should I say yank it that way.
Mets had such high hopes in center field this year for Angel Pagan. That ball's in the air to left center field. Lewis giving chase, and he's got it to end the inning. A walk, a hit, 2 left. Mets have stranded 5. Still no score. Hits a Toyota sign during our game tonight. Luke McGee of Loveland, Ohio, currently drives a 2011 Sienna. Will win the beautiful new Tundra on display, of course, each and every day at Great American Ballpark, and you can register for your chance to win. Just stop by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. R.A. Dickey has limited the Reds to 2 base hits, a double by Jay Bruce in the first. An infield hit by Giannis in the third. No score in the game. And Jay to start things, followed by Brandon Phillips and Fred Lewis here in the fourth. Fly ball short left, and did he get it? Didn't look like it. They say he did. Nice play by Jason Bay.
I think Jason Bay froze initially on that ball because Jay Bruce took a full swing, and he's a very strong hitter. but the ball was weighing on his thumbs, and it was just dying out there in shallow left field. Bay comes in. As soon as he shows that ball in his glove up to the umpire, they're going to ring him up. And it was a catch the whole way. Nice play by Jason Bay.
Very nice indeed. Brandon Phillips, a check swing, one hopper to first to end the first.
There's 1,000 different theories on how to go about trying to hit a knuckleball. Some guys will say, all right, I'm going to get way up on the plate and I'm going to hit only everything that is away from me and take everything else. Others will say they're going to get way up in the batter's box and try to take away some of that late movement and maybe give yourself more fair territory with which to work. But Dickey's a different kind of knuckleball pitcher, in as much as he has good enough fastball to sneak it by you, just like he did on that last pitch to Brandon Phillips. He gets you velocitized.
So it's a swing and a miss, and Phillips is going to reach first base safely.
Well, catching a knuckleballer is no easy task, that's for sure. That ball hit right off the edge of the glove. It looked like the catcher, Josh Tolley, had it in his glove if he would have just waited a moment longer to squeeze it. That ball will go all the way to the backstop. A good look with our Performance Honda Exmo.
That is 13 passed balls charged to New York catchers, while R.A. Dickey has been on the mound this year easily the most in the major leagues. In fact, it's been a problem period for the Mets. They now have 22 passed balls charged to their catchers.
You know, that's kind of an interesting thing, because it's a scorer's decision whether it's a wild pitch or a pass ball. Normally it'll be a wild pitch if the ball is in the dirt and a catcher can't block it. But if it's not in the dirt, then it's a pass ball. But that's a decision being made by scorers that have never tried to catch a knuckleball. I mean, even playing catch with a knuckleball is a tough thing to do.
All right, well, now with a knuckleballer on the mound and a guy like Brandon Phillips on at first base, we'll see if he's able to get into scoring position. Brandon not running with near the frequency with which he did in years past, but still runs very well. There he goes. It swung on and missed, and he is easily thrown out.
But he got a terrible jump, did Brandon, and maybe that's one reason why Dusty Baker has not allowed him to run nearly as much as he has in the past. That is his 6th time of being thrown out in 12 attempts. Knuckleball down the dirt. I mean, you couldn't pick a better pitch to go on. It was a hit and run. Let's make no mistake about that. So Brandon didn't get the normal lead you would normally get on a stolen base attempt, and you just picked the wrong pitch to do it. A real good knuckleball that Fred Lewis swings through.
Inning over. Wow. 5 strikeouts on the night for R.A. Dickey. We move to the 5th, still a scoreless game. runs in 2 or more seasons. Not a bad duo there. The Hall of Famer Johnny Bench and the future Hall of Famer, who spent a number of years, of course, with the Mets, Mike Piazza. Pitcher against pitcher to begin the 5th inning of a scoreless game. Jose Reyes next, and then Justin Turner. invite you to follow the Reds with MLB.com at bat11. Just text it back to 31826 or visit Reds.com for details. One out in the inning, and here comes Reyes. 0 for 2 in the game.
Mike Leake not used to pitching in 0-0 ball games, as you can see right there, with a minimum of 100 innings thrown this year. Mike Leake has more run support than any pitcher in the National League. That is the average number of runs that your team scores in your behalf on games that you pitch.
Of course, he's gotten a little bit more used to it here of late. His last couple of starts, his last game, he got beat 1-0.
I thought the comments that Mike Leake made after that ball game were very interesting too. He said, you know, I like those low-scoring ball games because it makes me concentrate more and I pitch better. And that's normally what pitchers do. I mean, they would like to see low-scoring games, really. I mean, everybody wants to have a big number on their behalf, no doubt. But you want the game to move along. And I think that's the biggest thing, especially the side of the inning and where you're standing on the mound.
Mike got Reyes on a fly ball to center in the first inning and a pop fly ball to short and right in the third.
Hey, he'll move the game along. Now, he doesn't take much time between pitches. Maybe one reason why the Reds play such good defense behind him. You know, it's interesting, Tom, as you watch this Reds team, and it really doesn't matter who you put in there, because normally what you have is Scott Rowland at third base and Brandon Phillips and Joey Votto, all three very good glovesmen. For the majority of the year, you've had Paul Janisch. That's a real good defensive infield. And the sinker ball pitchers on the Reds have had good years because of that. Johnny Cueto, if you look at his numbers, he's traded in his strikeouts for ground balls, it seems like, this year more than ever before. Mike Leake is a prolific ground ball pitcher. And those guys that live by the grounder are going to get the benefit of having guys like Brandon Phillips behind them. There's not a whole lot that squeaks through this infield.
Leake was ahead of Reyes at 1 ball and 2 strikes. For the second time in 3 at-bats tonight, he's gone full on the Mets shortstop. Got him on a ground ball. Phillips will quickly get rid of it. 2 away in the inning.
You can almost feel the tension when Jose Reyes is in the batter's box. Then when he puts the ball on the ground in a slow roller, everybody's kind of holding their breath right there. And fortunately, he hits it to the Reds Gold Glove second baseman Brandon Phillips. That's a nice play, considering the guy going down the line can get down it as fast as anybody in the league.
All right, 2 away in the inning. Still no score. Here's Turner, 1 out of 2. Bounced out to Phillips his last time up. Underway in St. Louis, Houston and the Cardinals opening up a series at Busch Stadium tonight. They're still in a rain delay at Turner Field in Atlanta. Opening game of that series between the Pirates and the Braves. 2-0 on Turner. He's got to really bear down here. You got Carlos Beltran standing in the on-deck circle, 2 outs in the inning. 3-1 now on Justin Turner. Wow. A walk to Turner to bring Beltran to the plate. That's a second straight inning where Leake has retired the first 2 hitters. And then walked the third batter in the inning. Of course, in the last inning, that walk was followed by a base hit. So he had to wiggle off the hook of 2 on and 2 men out. Told you Beltran leads the league in doubles. And he takes ball 1 high, and Ramon Hernandez says, let's hang on a minute. Mets right fielder also leads the National League with 47 extra base hits. We brought up earlier, Chris, about all of the trade rumors. And, of course, the Mets are going through just an awful fiscal situation as far as their franchise is concerned, with their primary owner, Fred Wilpon, and the Wilpon family losing all the money involved in the Madoff scandal, of course, and rumors about will they have to sell? There was a devastating article written 2 days ago in one of the New York papers in the business section about a $500 million loan. And if the story is true, I mean, they have not even scratched the surface of the problems with the New York Mets. Talking about a $500 million loan, which allegedly the team is defaulted on 13 total times. So this big cash infusion from Mr. Einhorn that everybody's been so excited about may be very much in jeopardy. And if that's the case, will the Wilpons have to sell the New York Mets? I bring it all up because they're talking about wanting to maybe re-sign Jose Reyes. They get Beltran off the books. They've already traded away their closer, Francisco Rodriguez. Obviously, in a market like New York, they expect their teams to sign big money players, big name free agents. And the Yankees have had a lot more success at it than their crosstown rivals, that's for certain.
Well, it's a ballpark that may be hard to attract hitters on the free agent market, given the fact that you really have to hit a bomb to hit it out of Citi Field. They're going to try to get, I would imagine, whatever they can for Carlos Beltran, who will be a free agent after this season. Save whatever's left on his salary this year. He's making close to $20 million this season.
Of course, he signed that whopping 7-year contract. Leaving the Houston Astros, had spent his entire major league career in Kansas City before being traded to Houston. Helped lead that team to the National League Championship Series. Beltran had an unbelievable LCS that year, and that was the year they lost to the Cardinals. Astros and the Cardinals played a year later, and Houston won it, but Beltran was long gone. 2-2 pitch. Foul out of play.
Well, what Mike Leake has done very effectively tonight is what he's normally done every time out there. He has used what his best pitching senses tell him, which is add a little bit, subtract a little bit. No 2 pitches come in there at the same speed, pitch after pitch, where hitters are able to begin to time it. He'll make a mistake every once in a while, but he more often than not gets that hitter out off of his timing, way out on his front foot.
Runner goes, and it's in the air. Is this one playable for Cairo? Over near the stands. He's got it. And Beltran slams the bat all the way back in front of the New York dugout. proud to support Stand Up to Cancer and the work they're doing to fund groundbreaking research that helps accelerate treatment to all patients. For more information, please visit standup2cancer.org/Fox Sports. Reds and the Mets in the opening game of this 4-game set at Great American Ballpark. No score, Mike Leake against R.A. Dickey. Mets have 4 hits. They've left 6 men on base. Reds have 2 hits. They've left 2. Ramon Hernandez to start things here in the Cincinnati 5th inning. Todd Frazier next, and then Paul Janisch. Hernandez grounded out to Daniel Murphy, the first baseman, his only at bat tonight. Watch as Jim Day visits Cincinnati USA's must-see attractions. Where in Cincinnati, USA is Jim Day?
I am in.
Where? I hear his voice somewhere. Here's Todd Frazier. And a bouncing ball in the hole at short. Reyes will have to cut it loose, and that'll be an infield hit for Frazier. When it got beyond the third baseman's ability to cut it off, there was no chance to throw out Frazier.
Well, you can see how hard that infield dirt is here. We're seeing a lot of high hops right here, and any ball that has overspin on it then hits the dirt's going to take even a higher hop. At that time, maybe a perfect throw by Reyes might nip Todd Frazier, but he's got to pick it, get rid of it in a hurry, and he's not able to get it on target.
Paul Janisch, he had an infield hit on a roller that stayed fair up the third baseline and hit the bag. David Wright, and skips into left field with Frazier advancing on to second base.
That ball by Paul Janisch slashed right by David Wright. He picked up a swinging bunt base hit the first time up. Janisch did with a slow roller right down the third base line. This time our Exmo shot brought to you by Performance Honda sees that ball shot right by David Wright. Reds have something going now.
Well, I don't know about you, Chris, but the Reds have a total of 4 hits, and 2 of them have come back to back. I just can't bunt Leake here.
I'm swinging him away.
Absolutely.
He, in my opinion, is by far your best hitting pitcher. And I think what he's going to say, you know, what you're taught as a pitcher is that if you get the bunt put on, go ahead and show it to everybody. Everybody doesn't care whether you're going to show it or not. But if you show it too early, it also oftentimes tells me that you're going to do a little swing bunt action. where you show the bunt, you pull it back after you get the infielders to charge. He's going to bunt right through it.
So the Reds give up an out. They advance the runners on another very good bunt by Leake, his second of the night. So they're leaning hard on Drew Stubbs to deliver a 2-out hit.
Well, I like that play if there's nobody out. But if you have a very good hitting pitcher at the plate and a knuckleball pitcher, a guy that, you know, let's face it, Mike Leake has about as good a chance as hitting R.A. Dickey as a lot of guys in this lineup. I mean, as far as making contact, I'm not talking about driving the ball out of the ballpark or shooting it in the gap. I'm talking about just making contact. And they did put a hit and run on earlier in the game with Fred Lewis at the plate. That one turned out to be a throw him out at second base, and maybe he's hoping for a little bit of magic here out of Drew Stubbs. About that facial reaction by Stubbs on that pitch. I mean, that ball literally dropped off the table right there.
A 3-pitch strikeout.
And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
We are scoreless as we move on to the 6th. Reds and Mets on Fox Sports Ohio. If you're just joining us, Jim Day here by the dugout. If you're just joining us, Joey Votto not in the starting lineup tonight. Dusty Baker's been pointing at this day with the knuckleballer on the mound to give him an off day. Finally, hasn't had one since being a National League All-Star. Now, with Joey Votto and Todd Frazier filling in for him today, with Joey Votto, it's more than just saying, hey, take the day off, kid. Dusty Baker at times babysits these guys. He sent him home last night and said, I want you to sleep in as much as you can. I don't want you to come to the ballpark till 5:30. And when you get here, I want you to eat, eat, eat. Do anything you can to rekindle that energy. And guys, he hasn't even been in the dugout here much tonight. They want to do everything they can to refresh Joey Votto because he's been pressing.
Leadoff single by David Wright here in the Mets' 6th inning of a scoreless game. Jim Day, thank you very much for that.
You know, that's an interesting philosophy, and I think Dusty Baker's hit it right on the head because it's not only physical fatigue that you go through. I mean, everybody does that this time of year. Ball players that are playing in temperatures that feel like 110 degrees, yes, but it's the mental fatigue that really wears you down. And that's what Dusty Baker means by don't even come into the dugout, come late to the ballpark, get in there and eat. In other words, take your mind off the game of baseball for a little bit.
Runner goes, and it's swung on and fouled out of play.
Whereas a lot of players, those who did not make the All-Star team, had a chance to do that during the All-Star break. But when you're Joey Votto and you go to the All-Star game and you participate in all the media events that they have out there, and you're flying all the way to Arizona from Milwaukee, and then you're coming back for the workout, and it's hot as can be when you show up, and all of a sudden you're back into it against the St. Louis Cardinals, it can be mentally fatiguing, and I think that's exactly where it is for Votto.
And Chris, with Joey Votto, as you know, he's a workaholic, so you basically have to tell him and make him come late and make him not go into the cages and make him rest. Dusty Baker's been around the block. He's been around this game a long time. He can see it in his eyes. It's very rare that you hear him use the phrase when describing Joey Votto, he's been struggling, but he used that term today before the game.
Stubbs got a good jump on that ball. And he's going to fire in quickly. His right was a little slow heading back to the bag. One out in the inning. Well, Joey Votto is as driven a player as there is in the game today. I'm not saying there aren't guys that are motivated every bit as much as he is. There are those guys out there. There's a lot of them. But nobody is more driven to be the best than Votto.
Well, you don't become an MVP if you're not driven. Bottom line. A lot of guys have the talent. Rarely do you see talent and motivation and determination put all into the same package. When you do, you see guys like Votto and Albert Pujols and Derek Jeters and those great players that you want on your ball club.
And of course, nobody in the history of the game more driven than number 14.
Better believe it.
That guy, people can say whatever they want, whatever he did after his playing days were over, what have you. Nobody showed up ready to beat you every day like Peter Edward Rose.
He was seemingly tireless.
There's no doubt about it. Bayless a fly ball into right field, playable for Jay Bruce. 2 out. We'll get to the ballpark early this Sunday. Be one of the first 10,000 fans 14 and younger, and you take home a kid's soft-sided lunchbox thanks to Chick-fil-A. For tickets, call 381-REDS or visit reds.com. That's why, you know, speaking of driven players, the one guy I wish that I'd have had a chance to see play was George Brett. Now that guy, man, you just watched him on TV or highlights of him. He was the Pete Rose version of the American.
You're right about that.
Oh, very close on the pickoff attempt of Wright.
Well, David Wright will steal. In fact, this Mets lineup up and down will run. Wright has 9 stolen bases. Now, that was very close at first.
Grounded foul by Tolley. Wright a single to begin this 6th inning of this scoreless game. But Leake got Murphy on a fly ball to short right center. Bay on a pop up to right. Tolley 1 out of 2 has struck out and single to right field. And he has another base hit to right. So David Wright moves into scoring position. 2 out, 2 on here in the 6th.
Well, Tolley back-to-back hits for the left-handed hitter, and he just kind of gets jammed on this one. He's hung in there real nicely on a changeup his last time, so Leake decides to change it up and go inside with a kind of a chest-high cutter. But he fights it off and gets the base hit. And the Mets have runners on again.
Well, the Mets have had scoring chances here tonight. They've left at least 1 runner on base in all but 1 inning. They stranded 2 in the 2nd, 2 in the 4th. And they have 2 on here in the 6th, and there's ball 1 low. 100th pitch of the night for Mike Leake.
Mike Leake averages less than 16 pitches per inning through the course of the year, so the Mets have made him work a little bit more tonight than what he's used to.
And really, Leake is to blame somewhat for a couple of extended innings here tonight. He retired the first two in the fourth inning, then he walked Jason Bay. He retired the first two in the fifth inning before he walked Carlos Beltran. So he's extended by at least 5 batters. Well, he probably could have taken care of business. But he's still doing it. All that matters is a runs column. And through 6, Leake is shutting him out. Like freeze cam. It's a real nice play in this game made by Jason Bay. On a pop-up by Jay Bruce to begin the fourth inning, and that is a Coors Light freeze cam. Brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Reds fans, could your car use a wash and a wax? Well, you can win a car care gift card right now. Log on to foxsportsohio.com by texting SUMMER to 37664. We're giving away prizes every day for 100 days, presented by the Ohio Department of Public Safety. No runs, 6 hits, 8 left for the New York Mets. No runs, 4 hits, 4 men left on base for the Reds. R.A. Dickey is fan 6, has not walked a batter all night. It'll be Miguel Cairo, Jay Bruce, and Brandon Phillips. Cairo 0 for 2 is bounced out to David Wright at third and flied out to center. Miguel getting a lot of playing time, and one would assume will continue to play for the injured Scott Rowland, and that one shot into center field, and that's the way things start in the Reds' 6th inning.
Well, he's been a solid 6th man, hasn't he? Miguel Cairo. I mean, I'm not sure where the Reds would be last year or this year with what he has given them, filling in at first base for Joey Votto from time to time, more so this year at third base for Scott Rowland. Gives you solid defense, and he just seems to step up and hit a line drive once or twice a night like it's routine.
Jay Bruce doubled down the right field line in the first inning, and then popped up that diving catch we showed you to go, made by Jason Bay in the fourth.
You know, the attitude of all hitters in every at-bat is to go up there and get a good pitch to hit. But when you're facing a knuckleball pitcher, what looks like a good pitch halfway turns into a ball on your thumbs by the time you turn the bat around. The peculiar thing for me, and I've not seen R.A. Dickey pitch live, is that he throws his knuckleball faster than most all other knuckleballs I've ever seen. I played with Charlie Huff, who for almost 25 years in the major leagues lived and died by the knuckleball. Saw the Necro brothers pitch. And they also, and even Tim Wakefield now throws a much slower knuckleball in the low 70s than does Dickey, who can throw his knuckleball up in the low 80s. So sometimes it resembles a fastball, except it's got no spin and it's diving all over the place. It's a two-finger grip. He kind of digs his fingers in right above the seam, and you can see very little spin as that ball hits to the plate.
Reds looking for a hit from Jay Bruce here with a leadoff man aboard in the bottom of the 6th inning. 2-2 the count. Good pitch to hit right there. Stayed up a little bit in the strike zone, and he fouls it back out of play. Kick off your weekend this Friday night at Great American Ballpark. It'll be the Reds and the Giants, and we'll have a 60s flashback fireworks show after the game featuring a soundtrack of some of Chris's favorite hits. Thanks to, well, really, a look-alike for Chris, Orville Redenbach. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. You may have to wear a bow tie on Friday night.
Well, we may both wear bow ties tomorrow. Bow tie Tuesday coming up.
That ball is driven home into right center field by Brandon Phillips. And it's up against the wall. They're going to wave around Cairo. Here comes the throw, and he is in there. Reds lead 1-0 on a double by Brandon Phillips.
Struck out his last time ago on a real slow knuckleball. This time he gets one down around the ankles and drives it hard to right center field. Man, he is one of the better low ball hitters you will find in all of Major League Baseball. And he comes up big right there to help plate the Reds' first run as Big O Cairo comes ahead of that relay throw.
Was a hard slide there by Cairo. I mean hard, where he landed hard. Brandon pointing over, I believe, Mark Berry, the third base coach, saying, "Atta baby." Mark Berry, I tell you, Chris, you've seen him a lot longer than I have. But in the 5 seasons that I've been fortunate enough to be back, I can't remember 3 mistakes this guy's made in 5 years.
No, and you may not even say that those are mistakes.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, really, for a third base coach, it's all about preparation. Who's got good arms? What side do they throw from? Where do they throw the best, going to their left or going to their right? And where the runners are in relation to where the ball is when the ball's being caught. You got to know how fast your runners are, which of those runners really run hard and who doesn't, because not everybody runs as hard on the base as the other guys do. But Berry is about as good as they get. I mean, there's a whole lot more to it than, throwing up a stop sign now and then and putting the bunt on.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine there has been a better third base coach. And some might say, big deal third base. It is a big deal. And he has done an outstanding job for a long time. He was a very good minor league manager.
It's kind of like being an air traffic controller. You only hear about him when something goes wrong. And the last thing he wants is a close-up, because it means probably more often than not he's had somebody thrown out at the plate.
There's ball 4 to Fred Lewis. First walk of the night given up by Dickey, who has only thrown 71 pitches in the game. And obviously there's a lot less wear and tear on that arm when you're flipping up an overwhelming majority of knuckleballs. Well, here's Ramon Hernandez, who has bounced out to first and grounded out to third. Look at all of those strikes Dickey has thrown. We mentioned the 71 pitches, all but 20 for strikes. This is a double play ball all the way here. The Reds get a run, a hit by Cairo. He scores on the double by Brandon. We go to the 7th, 1-0 Reds in front.
Cincinnati Children's ranks 3rd in the nation on U.S. News and World Report's Honor Roll for Best Children's Hospitals 2011. And by your Cincinnati Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit mycincinnatihondadealer.com for current offers.
Very odd right now for Mike Leake standing out there on the mound. The catcher, Ramon Hernandez, made the final out of the inning, grounding into the double play. And Chris, for whatever reason, right there was the first pitch that Leake has thrown to Ryan Hannigan, and Leake continues to stare into that dugout.
Yeah, I think he was just waiting for Hernandez to come back, who first had to get his wind from running down the first baseline, then throw all the gear on and maybe get a drink and come back out.
And but just now, Chris, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I mean literally just now, 2 relievers begin to get warmed up in the bullpen.
Well, it could be from Mike Leake's standpoint, just superstition. That he's on a roll right here. He's throwing the ball well, and I'm only going to throw to Ramon tonight.
Well, here he is again, though. He's not throwing to anybody, and he continues to look in the Reds' dugout, and
they're waiting for the umpire to come back out.
Right.
Looked like Scott Berry went inside for a moment, and he wasn't going to start getting ready until he knew that Scott Berry was coming back out.
Well, at this point in the game, probably the number of pitches Leake gets in between innings is not a factor at all.
You don't need at all. I mean, when it's warm and humid like this, you walk out there 2 pitches and you're ready to go.
Now Brandon Phillips breaks a scoreless tie with a run-scoring double into right center field. ball straight away center. So that takes care of Dickey, who bats to lead off the top of the 7th inning.
Well, you got to love that. You face the opposing pitcher. He comes up there and swings at the very first pitch. Hey, Reds fans, if you're in the restaurant industry, let JTM Food Group help you with great tasting products for your menu, inspired solutions, and better results. JTM.
Right, here's Jose Reyes. He's down, strike one. Reyes' fly to center, fly to right, grounded out to Brandon Phillips, who made a real nice play on a slow roller up through the middle of the 5th. First time Reyes has reached base tonight. It's a 1-out single, and he represents a tying run.
You see, when I said slasher, when I described Jose Reyes early in the ballgame, that is a perfect example of it, where he just stays inside the ball. Just because the ball's on the inner part of the plate does not mean he's going to pull it. Now everybody's nervous. Pitcher, catcher, infielders, they're all on the balls of their feet with the guy who's got 31 stolen bases on the year at first base.
And he's only been thrown out 6 times.
Leake's been good. He's only given up 4 stolen bases. Reds catchers have thrown out 2. And the whole idea here for a pitcher like Leake is just to try to upset the timing of the hitter as much as you upset the timing of the runner. Hold the ball differing amounts of time, maybe hold a little longer one time. Next time, go very quickly.
In the air down the right field line, and that is a foul ball and a good thing. It's a foul ball. Bruce was not going to be the umpire. He got to the thing quickly and fired it right back into the cutoff man.
Well, as Diaz is the first base umpire, he went down the line to take a look, and now he'll have a conversation with the Mets manager, Terry Collins.
Collins comes sprinting out of that dugout. Everybody taking a look.
Awfully close down there. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get a better look right here or not.
Now Collins will go trotting back into the dugout. That was very, very close.
He's not going to be happy when he sees that replay, I'll tell you that.
Collins in his first year as manager of the New York Mets, and by all accounts he has done an extraordinary job with his Mets team. There were some that felt like this team would be lucky to avoid losing 90 or more games. But he's kept them together through a lot of injuries, some ups and downs, all the off-field ownership questions that have gone on. One-time manager in Houston, also with the Angels. Still fiery after all these years, Terry Collins. 2-2 on Justin Turner. Of course, he had that reputation. His first 5 years he managed in the major leagues, his team finished in 2nd place. All 5 years. In the air, foul ground. Frazier can't find it. Wouldn't matter. It's 4 rows out of play.
Well, you know, a lot of people who are detractors of Terry Collins along the way would say, well, you know, he's a little too fiery. He's too old-fashioned. He can't relate to today's young kind of ball player. He's too much of a disciplinarian. And really, by his own admission, he's backed off quite a bit. I mean, he's not nearly as, I don't know, ornery or temperamental as he once was. I had a good conversation with him before the ball game today, but he did tell me the distractions that go along with managing in New York. You don't know what they are until you put that hat on and become a manager there.
Well, We remember in our interview with Joe Girardi, the Yankees, and talked about the thing that chews up more of his time than anything else, and it's trying to manage the press.
Yeah.
2-2 the count on Turner. That one nearly hit him. 3 balls and 2 strikes, so you got to believe Reyes will be running on the pitch. It's a 1-0 game.
Might not be a bad idea for Mike Leake to throw over one more time on this particular pitch before he goes to the plate. Just see if he can't shorten up Reyes, maybe catch him napping. Not that you're going to catch him napping very often.
How about that? Just dumped on a jam shot into right field, and all of a sudden the Mets have him on the corners. And that's going to be all for Mike Leake. So he retired the pitcher to begin the inning and has allowed back-to-back hits. This will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Reds lead 1-0. The Mets have them on the corners. And Carlos Beltran coming up. So Leake pitch well. Will it be good enough to get a win here tonight? He got beat his last start 1-0. He leaves with runners on the corners and 1 out, leading 1-0 in the 7th inning here tonight. And now the Reds are going to turn around Carlos Beltran and bring on the left-hander Bill Bray to face him.
Well, do you want to do this to Beltran? I mean, if you just look at the basic numbers, batting average alone, right-handed he's batting .227, left-handed he's batting .316, so nearly 100 points. And that's why you're going to see him bat right-handed and bring Bill Bray in.
Now this is a man that Bray has brought in to try and get out because the right-handed batting David Wright is on deck. Logan Ondrusek is ready to go.
Well, not just get out, but strike out. Either that or a ground ball that they can turn to.
Fly ball into left center field, and this will tie the game. Sac fly RBI. So Mike Leake just slams the towel into the railing over by the dugout. As the Mets have tied the game here in Leake's final inning. Boy, that has happened to the Reds so many times here of late. In fact, during the entire year, from the 6th inning on, with a starting pitcher in the game, where that pitcher allowed runs in their final inning of the game, the 3rd most times it's happened to the Reds among all teams in the National League. Saw it the other night with Bronson Arroyo in the series opener against Atlanta after the Reds had taken a 1-run lead. Stayed in the game, gave up the home run to Prado. Saw it with Dontrell Willis here last night. Reds had a 3-2 lead. Willis gave up the run that tied the game. He left in that inning. And we see it here tonight for Mike Leake. 1-1 game. We're back in a moment. Nothing lead in their last at bat. 2 outs in the inning. Runner at first. A new battery. Ryan Hannigan comes on to replace Ramon Hernandez and will bat 9th, which means he's due up 3rd in the bottom of the inning. And now on to pitch. Making his 50th appearance this season is Logan Ondrusek. He'll be facing David Wright.
Boy, he's been very dependable. He's a guy that keeps the ball down very well, which is a good matchup for him against David Wright, who's a good high ball hitter.
Into shallow center field, and they may not be hitting them very hard, but they're finding some holes or some real estate. So now Daniel Murphy will bat, a left-handed batter.
Now this ball down, Wright goes down and gets a wood on a real good pitch right there by Ondrusek. And that's the reason it was flared out there so much. Got it right on the end of the bat.
Those Reds, for a chance to win a VIP baseball experience, go to reds.com/captain. 1-1 game, 2 on, 2 out. Huge batter for Ondrusek. And it's strike 1 to Murphy. And Murphy can hit. Have taken a lead. They're going to wave around the second runner, and both will score.
Boy, Daniel Murphy has shown a real quick bat on an inside fastball here tonight. Line the only extra base hit the Mets have had in the opposite field alley his first time up back in the second inning, but that time Logan Ondrusek tried to sneak a fastball by him inside, and he was all over it. You see where Hannigan is, up and in the ball goes, and right about where the catcher wanted it. Now the Mets really catch a break right here, because out here in the outfield corner, that ball sticks right underneath the base of the fence. That made Jay Bruce go all the way to the wall to get it. That's why that trailing runner was able to come in ahead of the relay play, and why they're able to put 3 on the board in this inning. Here's what I'm talking about out in the outfield right here, right there, that ball will stick underneath the fence.
It all started with a one-out single by Jose Reyes. And then I'm sure Leake will look back on that Justin Turner at bat. And as some might say, and when we saw the replay, it was tough to tell. This ball's hit down the right field line. It'll bring in another run. Boy, and Andrusik has come in and just thrown gas on the Flames here. He's faced 3 batters and given up 3 base hits. And it's 4-1 New York.
Well, it looks so promising. You know, we led the broadcast off tonight, Tom, in our open, talking about the good pitching performances that the Reds have wasted. They wasted one here tonight by Mike Leake, but the bullpen's not kept their bargain. The struggling Jason Bay, who flew out to right field his last time, really stayed behind on that ball and hit it right down the right field line for a double.
You know, we were talking about the Turner at bat and whether or not that ball he hit down the right field line was it fair, was it foul, it was called foul. But Leake got ahead in the count in that at bat to Justin Turner, 1 ball and 2 strikes. He missed in a couple of times, which sent it to 3-2, which of course then allowed Jose Reyes to start on the pitch. If Brandon Phillips is not breaking to the second base bag, that's a routine pop up into short right field. But with Phillips covering the bag, it fell in for a hit. Reyes went to third. There's clearly a cross up there. And Hannigan lucky to get a glove on it.
That's a good point.
Of course, a Mets fan, or even the most objective viewer, might say, well, heck, the Reds caught a break on that ball down the line because it might have been fair. When all is said and done, it adds up to a 4-run inning. And now the Reds play catch-up, trailing by 3. In the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. Well, apparently, Terry Collins knew what he was doing. The Reds had taken a 1-0 lead in the bottom half of the 6th inning, and he allowed his pitcher to bat, leading off the top of the 7th. Dickey flied out to center field, and then the hit parade began. 5 hits, producing 4 runs, a 3-run lead, and Dickey still out on the hill where he has been very, very good tonight. Here's Todd Frazier to lead things off. He looks at a strike. The Mets now have Jason Isringhausen as their closer. His career has come full circle. After originally coming up with the New York Mets as a starter, they turned him into a closer. And below these many years and through so many injuries, Isringhausen is back closing for the Mets after the trade of Francisco Rodriguez. 2-1 to Frazier. And a bouncing ball. And Reyes will make a better throw this time. That's how Frazier had an infield hit his last at bat. 1 out. Reds and the Giants this coming weekend, presented by Labor Works. 3-in-1 Reds, a number to dial for tickets, or log on to Reds.com. What we talked about with Isringhausen, drafted all the way back in '91. That is a fair ball. It's been a real good night for Paul Janisch. You know, when Janisch was sent from the Major League club, when Kozar was brought up and Janisch went down, Paul started at AAA 1 for 22. But here over the last few games, it really started to swing a better bat, and he's proving at the big league level tonight.
Well, look at the swing right there. That is much more aggressive than what we saw when he was up here earlier. I mean, he was kind of feeling for contact earlier, slowing his bat down, just trying to make contact, just trying to put the ball in play. And that's a very aggressive swing. He said one of the reasons why he feels better is that, you know, sense of familiarity. You go down there, he knows Rick Sweet. He's been with Smokey Garrett, the hitting coach, before, and just a small little adjustment that he made as to where he's holding his hands is the reason that he feels better at the plate. Hope it carries forward for him.
Ryan Hannigan bats for the first time since coming on. Diving back safely. We're talking about the Mets bullpen. They've scuttled here over the last 5 games. They've allowed 9 earned runs over their last 14 and a third innings, but the bullpen suffered its first loss here in the month of July, and that's saying something. Just yesterday, for the first time. That's a borderline strike there. 2-0 pitch came with a fastball. Strikes like Scott Berry. So there's no question about it. Strike 1. Pedro Beato getting loose in the New York Mets bullpen. Fought off out of play. It remains 2-2 on Ryan Hannigan. There you go. Look at Beato. Rule 5 pick from the Baltimore Orioles. He's thrown the ball very, very, very well when he gets the ball over the plate. Still a very low pitch count for R.A. Dickey, just 83 of them in the game, and here we are with 1 on and 1 out in the bottom of the 7th inning. He's only walked a batter, one of them all night. That was in the last inning to Fred Lewis. He's gone 3-2 on Hannigan. get him out for the second out of the inning. Games like tonight have been the norm for R.A. Dickey. After getting off to a terrible start over the first 6 weeks of the season. And you go all the way back to May the 20th, and his ERA is under 3 at 2.93. And among pitchers with at least 12 starts in all of Major League Baseball, that 2.93 ERA since May the 20th is 14th best in Major League Baseball, 7th best in the National League.
Well, his team has not scored him very many runs because he's not posted a win since June the 28th.
There's a base hit into center field. They're going to wave around Giannis. Here comes the throw. It is cut off.
And thank goodness it was cut off. There had to be a little bit of miscommunication right there between Daniel Murphy, the first baseman, and Josh Tolley. Because that ball looked like it was on line, and had he let it go through, maybe a perfect one-hop shot to the catcher to be able to tag out Paul Giannis. Take another look at it from a great perspective here.
So Stubbs a run-scoring single. His first hit tonight makes it a 2-run game. And here comes Miguel Cairo, and here comes Terry Collins. And now the signal is given for the right-hander Beato. So an outstanding effort tonight by R.A. Dickey. 2 runs so far on 8 hits in 6 2/3 innings. Cairo v. Beato when we come back. Talking things over down there with R.A. Dickey, who leaves with 1 in, 2 out, and 1 on. His team leading 4-2 in the 7th inning, and now the Mets bullpen. It begins with Pedro Beato.
Now, Beato is a hard thrower, as you said, Tom. He's had some control problems. You see the 17 walks in 41 innings. But a guy with great stuff, born in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. Drafted #1 in the supplemental round by the Orioles back in 2006 out of St. Petersburg Junior College.
Miguel Cairo, the batter. And Stubbs leaves over first. Here's ball one. Now, the Reds have not seen Beato. And I'm sure they've been brought up to speed by Brooke Jacoby, the hitting coach, as to the problems Beato has had at times throwing the ball over the plate. Cairo singled and scored in the 6th inning. Scored on a double to right center by Brandon Phillips to give the Reds a 1-0 lead. It did not last long.
I'd imagine, though, that they're just as happy to see R.A. Dickey leave the ball game as anything. I mean, there's less mystery now to Beato.
Stubbs running, pitch taken, throw to second, and Stubbs is in there safely. That's stolen base number 26 in 32 attempts.
Now, sometimes it's not how many stolen bases you have, it's when you get those stolen bases. This is a key time for Drew Stubbs right here. I mean, the Reds desperately need another shot to get a man into scoring position. That is a steal all the way. And he slides into the bag as hard as anybody in baseball. I mean, if he doesn't hold on, he's sliding into left field. Let's be happy that Wally Bell didn't have our Exmo out there with him.
2-0 on Miguel Cairo. 3-0. Double barrel action in the Mets bullpen. They have the left-hander Tim Burdack getting ready for the man on deck, Jay Bruce. That's a 4-pitch walk. So another huge at bat for Jay Bruce. And of course he'll have it against a left-hander. Bruce faced a left-hander last night, of course, late in the game with 2 on and 2 out, and struck out. Trying to knock in a run here.
And there's only one left-hander in the Mets bullpen. And the Reds have seen plenty of him before. And Tim Burdick will come in for the Mets. Jay Bruce conferring with Brooke Jacoby. We get the full rundown on this left-hander.
Biggest at bat of the night coming up by far. Who could ever forget on September the 28th last year here at Great American Ballpark? It was the home run. Jay Bruce against then Houston Astro Tim Burdack. that clinched the National League Central Division Championship.
It was the first batter of the game that Tim Burdick had faced. It was in the 9th inning. On an 0-1 count. Don't you think Burdick doesn't remember that moment?
2 on, 2 out. Bruce up there wailing at a first pitch breaking ball, and it's strike 1. Reds trailing 4-2. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning. Bruce digging in to start the 9th. High drive, left center field, racing back to the wall. Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. As you saw, that came on a fastball. Burdick is throwing him back-to-back breaking balls here and strikes him out on 3 pitches. A little different outcome this time. The bat of Drew Stubbs, a game winner. And the Reds win back-to-back games for the first time since the middle of June when they swept the Dodgers in Los Angeles. Reds down 4-2 at the end of 7.
Well, there's Sam LeCure. He's the right-hander that Dusty Baker has called on. 22 games for LeCure. It was Mike Leake, the starter, 6 1/3 innings of 2-run baseball. Bill Bray pitched a 3rd, and Logan Ondrusic came in and gave up 2 runs in his 3rd of an inning. And now Sam LeCure to pitch this top of the 8th.
Whitey to start things. Lucas Duda standing in the on-deck circle. Big, powerful left-handed batter. And he'll be followed by the leadoff man, Jose Reyes. LeCure ahead of Pridey. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Each starter pitching into the 7th inning. Each starter allowing 2 runs. Each starter allowing 8 hits. But one starter in line for a win, and right now the other in line for a very tough loss. But 2 full innings to go, and the Reds only down a couple of runs. Pirates and Atlanta sat through a long rain delay. They've just gotten started, and the Pirates have jumped on Tim Hudson. They've taken a 1-0 lead. The Cardinals, meanwhile, are in front of Houston. A 4-1 Cardinal advantage at the end of 4. Swing and a miss by Pridey. Hannigan having a hard time finding it. And then a nice catch made down there by Frazier. Hannigan trying to put himself in a position to step out in front of the plate and give himself a clear throwing lane. But then when he dropped the ball, he just had to fire from where he was.
Well, he did, and he really had to throw over the runner and over the home plate umpire. Scott Berry's just going to stay right here. He doesn't realize that he's dropped the ball a second time, and he kind of stands out of the way right there. The Reds are fortunate that ball didn't go down the right field line. Not much of a throwing lane, but Hannigan's able to figure it out.
Lucas Duda, this big guy, 6'4", 254 pounds. You're just missing with back-to-back fastballs off that outside corner to Duda. Unquestionably, we'll see right-hander Bobby Parnell in the bottom of the 8th inning. Hard throwing right-hander, really hard throwing right-hander. Trying to get the ball to their closer, Jason Isringhausen. Parnell gave it up yesterday, and maybe he can do the same again today. Lewis got a nice jump on that ball. 2 outs in the inning. Well, one guy that's been doing it in the Reds bullpen since being brought back up from Louisville, our Farmers Insurance report card on Aroldis Chapman. How about those numbers just his last 4 games? Not a hit, not a walk.
Well, I liked really the bottom right there, 43 pitches and 34 strikes.
One hopper down to third, and a rock solid 8th inning for Sam LeCure. Phillips, Lewis, and a pinch hitter coming up. seemingly every night. It's number 4. Brandon Phillips. Four runs, 11 hits for the Mets, 2 runs, 8 hits for the Reds. And as we speculated, coming off a loss against the Marlins yesterday, got beat in what turned out to be the 8th inning. But otherwise having an excellent year is Bobby Parnell. Hard throwing right-hander. Phillips knocked in the Reds' first run with a double to right center field back in the 6th inning. 1 of 3 in the game. This guy must seem like he's throwing 1,000 miles per hour after what the Reds have seen so far tonight. And 2 on Phillips, leading off the bottom of the 8th inning. Struck him out on 3 pitches. 95, 96, 95.
Well, the location is really more important for Brandon Phillips than that velocity. When you throw that fastball at 95 up around the letters, the way Brandon holds his bat straight up and down like that, there's no way that he's able to get around and get on top of that high fastball. He is a much better low ball hitter. In fact, if you start charting where he hits the ball hard, you'll find he's good from the knees to the ankles, way better than he is from the waist to the shoulders. So you've got a heater like Bobby Parnell with a 4-seamer that just rides as it goes up in the zone. It's awfully tough to get on top of.
Strike 1 to Fred Lewis. Joey Votto has moved out into the on-deck circle. And you got to wonder if he would bat should Lewis fail to reach, who's behind 0-2. You've got some guys in the bottom part of the batting order that you're looking ahead, and you never want to look ahead on the downside to the 9th inning. You'd love to have Votto up there representing the tying run. 1-2 the count on Lewis. Start looking for guys you'd think about pinch hitting for. Pitcher spot is due up next. Still have Renteria, they still have Heisey, they still have Gomes, along with Votto, all available off that bench. Three and two now on Fred Lewis.
Draws a walk. That's a good at bat right there for Freddie Lewis, because he did not have very good swing. The one swing that he took was not a good looking one that he had against Bobby Parnell. Parnell walks him, and now Dusty Baker's got the situation he was hoping to find.
That's Votto batting, carrying the tying run of the plate, and that'll prompt the visit to the mound from pitching coach Dan Worthen. You're wondering how many times this season Votto has pinch hit. The answer is none. And he has had unbelievable success in the amount of times he has faced the Mets. There aren't many, but has averaged a home run every 10 plate appearances against him. Tuned it up a little bit right there. That fastball at 98 miles per hour. One on, one out. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning. And the Reds down by 2. They've got the reigning National League's most valuable player at the plate. Balls and a strike. There's a big crowd here tonight for a Monday night. Big crowd. And they're looking for something to get excited about. In the air, left field, playable out there, and that will be out number 2. He just beat him with good old country hardball. I mean, there's no fooling around for Bobby Parnell here tonight.
Well, that's a tough assignment for anybody coming off the bench. Votto, you know, you don't prepare yourself. You would have being normally as a pinch hitter sitting on the bench waiting for your opportunity when you think it's your day off. But you know, no excuses right there. It was power versus power, and just a hair late separates that ball from being a fly ball to left fielder, maybe one that goes into the stands.
So now Todd Frazier, 1 of 3, and an infield hit back in the 5th inning. Strike 1. And a lot of times you see those guys who have a reputation for having that put-away slider, and we've heard all about that in regard to Parnell. There is nothing fooling around about him out there tonight.
I don't think he's thrown a breaking ball yet.
This is some serious gas in some serious location so far. And that one at 100 miles per hour. I was just starting ready to say before he threw that pitch, this guy's the second closest thing I've seen to Chapman in terms of just pure firepower with a fastball.
And he does it seemingly with more upper body than he does with his legs. A lot quieter delivery than Aroldis has.
Tapper to second base, and Parnell does his job. He slams the door in the 8th. So we go to the 9th with the Mets lead 4-2. Nissan drive of the game off the bat of Daniel Murphy. broke the 1-1 tie with a 2-run double to right field off Logan Andrusic. Reds would tack on another run to go up 4-1 in that 4-run seventh. Reds got a run back in the bottom of the inning, and that's where we stand here in the ninth. So now Jose Arredondo takes over following Sam LeCure, who works a perfect eighth inning with a strikeout. And he hits Justin Turner on the very first pitch.
We didn't get to mention much about Justin Turner earlier. His at-bats were pretty quick, but he was a young man that was originally property drafted and brought up in the minor leagues by the Cincinnati Reds. And he was included in that trade that the Reds had, sending Ryan Freel, Justin Turner, and another player to Baltimore in exchange for Ramon Hernandez. I wonder if they had a conversation earlier in the ballgame about, hey, bud, I was the one that was traded for you.
And you see the Mets got him off waivers in May of last year. And according to all those that have seen the Mets play regularly, he's done a good solid job for them. He's had a good game tonight. 2 hits, been on base 3 times. Here's Beltran, who tied the game with a sac fly to center field in the 7th inning, and you thought that was his second out of the inning. And the Mets had a runner at first base in a 1-1 tie. But then Andrusic came in, allowed a hit to right, the 2-run double to Murphy, an RBI double to Jason Bay, and before you could blink your eyes a dozen times, the Mets had a 3-run lead. Speaking of former Reds or former Reds farmhands, you brought up earlier Chris Welsh is a 3-1 on Carlos Beltran. How about Aaron Harang?
Ran his record to 9 wins against, 2 losses, right? He beat Cliff Lee and the Philadelphia Phillies in Philadelphia today to get his 9th win. And change of scenery does a lot of good sometimes.
Arredondo has hit a batter. He has walked a batter.
That has always been kind of his Achilles heel, is his control. And he's missing with his fastball, and that's the disturbing thing about Arredondo, because his second pitch is that splitter, and that really is not a pitch designed to be much of a called strike anyway. Looks to me just like he's just trying to overthrow the ball. Of course, he spent some time on the disabled list, just recently put back on the active roster, and I think he's trying to use up all that stored energy in 1 inning.
Cardinals are putting it on the Astros. It is now 6-1 St. Louis in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Kyle McClellan and Jay Happ. No, it was Jay Happ.
Ball 1 to David Wright. They're only in the 3rd inning after that lengthy rain delay at Turner Field in Atlanta, where the Pirates have a 2-0 lead over the Braves. Here it's a 2-run game, and Arredondo trying to keep this one from getting away from the Reds. 1-1 to David Wright. One account on Wright with 2 on and nobody out. Taylor made here. Double play. Off the bat of Wright, on to third goes Turner. one more out to go for Arredondo.
That goes a long way to get Jose Arredondo out of this inning. You hit a batter, you walk a guy, and here comes a splitter that results in a ground ball to your third baseman. Brandon Phillips makes a nice pick out of a low throw and turns a double play anyway.
Away, and it's 0-2 on Daniel Murphy. Jason Isringhausen is cranking it up in the New York Mets bullpen. Of course, the Reds had him for a short while last year in their minor leagues. Well, he has looked very good with the Mets this year and has worked so hard to come all the way back when it looked like his career was over a long time ago. That is a foul ball. Arredondo ahead of Murphy, 0-2, and the runner at third. And that's out of play. We'll do it again. So you're taking a peek ahead to the bottom of the ninth inning for the Reds. It'll be Giannis, Hannigan, and Stubbs. Of course, they have Renteria, they have Heisey, they have Gomes available on that bench. One guy who definitely will not be taken down for a pinch hitter is Hannigan. Hitting over. Here we go. Bottom of the ninth. Reds down 2. Mets all the way back in July of 1999. And when he appeared on the 11th of April this year, 2011, it marked 11 years and 254 days. How about that? Pitch for the Mets from 95 through 99. And now he's back. And after the trade of Frankie Rodriguez, he is their closer.
It's really amazing. Remember the 3 pitchers that the Mets had at that time that they thought would be anchors for their rotation for such a long time. Bill Pulsipher, Paul Wilson, former Red.
Yep.
And Isringhausen, Izzy by far has had the longest and most successful career. All of them beset by arm injury one time or another. Pulsifer ended his career rather quickly. He ended up being 13 wins against 19 losses in the major leagues. Paul Wilson, a much longer career. He was 40 and 58. And here's Izzy, who has won 47, lost 50, but has saved 295 games in his long career.
One on Paul Janisch. Little cue shot. It handcuffs the first baseman, and out is the call at third.
Well, that was an odd play from the very beginning. As soon as it left the bat as a cue shot, as you said, Tom, right on the very end of the barrel, that ball spins, has a weird spin on it. The first baseman, Murphy's going to grab it and just get his glove on the bag in front of the head-sliding Paul Janisch and the pitcher, Isringhausen, who comes over there for a little interference.
First time Janisch has been retired tonight, and here's Ryan Hannigan trying to get aboard for Stubbs. Reds down 2. They're also down to their final 2 outs. Hannigan grounded out his only time up. Two and one to Ryan Hannigan. Ryan kicking himself for that 2-1 pitch, little half swing. He's lucky it went out of play. A 4-run New York 7th inning, the difference right now. So the Reds down to their final 2 outs of the night.
One of the things that Ryan Hannigan really prides himself on is not swinging at bad pitches and not making outs on pitches that are out of the strike zone. He is the only player in the last 4 years with the Reds that has had more walks every year than he has had strikeouts. In fact, he's done that every year in his major league career, except the cup of coffee he had back in '07 when he only had 10 ABs.
Barely got a piece of it, but a piece nonetheless. Isringhausen has 2 out of 5 in save chances so far this year, but of course they charge you with a blown save. You know, they're giving it up the 7th or 8th inning, and that's where he was pitching before he became a closer.
Funny how only the guy that closes out the ball game can earn the save, but guys that pitch in the 7th or the 8th can earn a blown save.
Yeah, interesting. White can't handle it, and Stubbs will bat with 1 on and 1 out.
It's fortunate that he does not have 2 errors to his credit on the night. Looks like he just didn't want to get down low enough on that ball to field it. Took a bad hop, yes, but if every ball took a great hop, anybody could play. So that's a break for the Reds, as it now brings up a tying run at the plate to a guy who was a hero last night.
Stubbs, 1 of 4 in the game, knocked in a run with a single to center field in the 7th inning. It's the end of the game last night. A home run in the 9th inning. A home run here in the 9th tonight would tie it. Good breaking ball there.
That's a setup pitch right there. Isringhausen only throws his fastball 90-91 nowadays. Used to be a real blazer in the mid-90s, but his out pitch is a breaking ball. And he'll throw that on the next pitch right here to see if he can't buckle Drew Stubbs.
That breaking ball stayed up.
So now Stubbs has seen both of his pitches a couple of times. They've never had this matchup before. One of the few Reds on this ball club that has not faced Isringhausen. And one thing they seem to be trying to do, though, with Drew Stubbs is keep that fastball inside of his hands. If you saw that highlight of the home run that he hit last night to win the ball game, that ball was out over the plate and away from him. A lot of his home runs this year have gone the other way.
Two outs. That is another 3-strikeout game for Stubbs.
Well, that's just a little cut fastball right there. Take a few miles an hour off, start it outer third, keep it down, and hope the batter swings and misses. And that's exactly what Drew Stubbs did.
Now Cairo, who has bounced to third, fly to center, singled and scored, drew a walk in the 7th inning. Jay Bruce would be next. Cairo and Isringhausen, former teammates in St. Louis together. To Miguel Cairo, and that's over the head of Kaya, right into left field. So handing in the runner at second base, Cairo the base hit to keep it alive, and a second huge chance for Jay Bruce.
Seen a lot of high hops tonight where the infield is very hard in front of home plate. The dirt area is hard. They've had a couple of games here played today, and the ground screw hasn't had a chance to wet it down the way they wanted it, but it goes to the advantage of the Reds right here. Just a high hopper bouncing right over David Wright, who's playing even with the bag. So now the Reds bring the guy that they want to the plate right here.
Jay Bruce came to the plate, you may remember, with the exact same score we have right now in the bottom of the 7th inning with 2 on and 2 out. And Tim Burdack struck him out on 3 pitches. Will Jay Bruce play the hero tonight? 0-1.
Does not look like he wants any part of Jay Bruce. You green lighting him here?
No.
You? Yes. He can win you the ball game.
Count on Jay Bruce. They're loaded for Brandon Phillips.
The key right here is for Brandon Phillips to make sure that he makes Isringhausen get the ball down. All the fastballs that Isringhausen has thrown up there, most of them are up around the letters.
Well, that's a terrible pitch to offer out there. That had no chance of being anywhere near the strike zone. Nothing in 1 to Phillips. Brandon 1 of 4 in the game. Had an RBI double to right center field in the 6th inning.
Well, if he's true to what he did with Drew Stubbs when he was ahead, no balls and 2 strikes, next pitch will be a waste pitch fastball up to see if Brandon will chase it. Then he might go right back with that curveball again.
Well, what a difference offering it that first pitch in the at-bat. You rally from 0-2, but what a difference even in the count 1-1.
Yeah, it really is, because, you know, the pressure, a lot of hitters feel like there's pressure with the bases loaded in this situation, but the real pressure is on the pitcher right here. You make a mistake of the pitch down the middle, guy lines it in the gap, and all of a sudden you've lost the game. Now you've got a little different attitude if you're Brandon Phillips. Protect the plate on anything close.
Well, they indeed try to get him to chase that fastball up in the strike zone. This time Brandon doesn't offer at it. Will they go up there one more time, then come back with a breaking ball, or they go to the hook right now? A base hit would tie it. An extra base hit couldn't win it. 2 outs, bases loaded in the ninth. Game over. Reds leave 11 and lose by a final count of 4-2.
Well, they left 11 and they struck out 11 times on the night. The Reds did. And a very unusual breakdown for the bullpen late in the ball game really made the difference right there when the Mets scored all their runs in the 4th inning. A tough way to open up a 4-game series, but that's the way it goes. The Reds will have to strap it up and come back and get them tomorrow.
And that pursuit